Hey everyone, so I was thinking about some advice that I got on my mountain leader assessment recently, and it was about giving out information about Flora and how to make it more interesting and memorable. So watch the rest of this video to find out. Hi, my name is Niall and welcome to Instructor 101 for outdoor instructors that want to make an even bigger impact on those that they work with. So I don't know about you, but if I'm going to teach someone something, I want them to be able to remember it or be able to recall that information easily when they need it. And so when I was on my mountain leader assessment, the assessor came up to me and I was talking about some floras going along and pointing out like, oh look, there's some sphagnum moss. And so his response was, okay, yeah, that's all well and good, Niall, that's great that you can point out a few plants and bits, but that on its own isn't very interesting and won't be that memorable to the clients that you're working with. You might as well just read out a shopping list if you're just pointing out lots of different plants that are just around you, but not really giving any more information than that. Bell heather, rowan or mountain ash, silver birch, just those bits of information alone are just boring and not that memorable. So he explained, if you give a bit more information about a certain flower or plant, then it gives people a reason to remember it. So let's take the example of sphagnum moss. So instead of just saying, oh look, there's some moss, actually give that extra bit of information about it. So telling people that it used to be a wound dressing, or people used it as wound dressings during different wars, then that can be a useful bit of information and makes it more interesting already than just a bit of moss. Okay then, so let's take it one step further. Let's explain why it was useful as a wound dressing. Picking up, having a feel, having a close-up look at the moss and seeing that it's actually really fibrous. So that's why it can hold, or one of the reasons why it can hold lots of moisture. It's also really acidic, so because of that, it helps prevent a lot of bacterial growth. So that's why it is really good as a wound dressing. Giving those extra bits of knowledge are really helpful. And even if you just compared it to other materials and resources around you, at the moment all I've got around me is bits of grass, but if you were to try and use that as a wound dressing, you can see it's just not going to be as absorbent, because when you look up close, it just doesn't have that same like sponge-like texture and feeling to it. So you're engaging with people, you're getting them to look around and really understand why, rather than just giving a piece of knowledge. Okay, so what about other ways of trying to make bits of information more memorable to those that we're working with? So if we think about advertisers, they use rhymes and songs or jingles to try and help get things stuck in your head, and that's no coincidence. So we can adopt that as well. We can use rhymes and bits like that to go, okay, let's see if you can remember this. So if you think about some adverts, if you like a lot of chocolate on your biscuit, join our club, or washing machines live longer with Calgon. Like, those things just get stuck in your head, and those are the things that came to my head straight away, which is ridiculous. Like other people, like other advertisers just do this on purpose. Yeah, exactly. So there are people doing that on purpose, so there's no reason why as outdoor educators we can't do that as well to try and help people make things more memorable. So when we're teaching or learning about the alphabet, it's done by a song. A, B, like whenever I go through it, like it's kind of like this song, even if it plays really quickly, like it goes through my head, and that's how I recall that information. So when I go V to the knee, 1, 2, 3, then that's one method of trying to help people remember that information. Another rhyme which I can think of which is used in the outdoorsy world is mag to grid, get rid. So let me know if you can think of other examples of little rhymes or things like that which help people remember in the outdoorsy setting. Now associations can help a lot with this too. So when I work with kids, like I'll often tell people, okay, hello, my name's Niall, a bit like the River Nile. Okay, now I know that it's spelled differently, but it helps people remember, because for a lot of people it's quite an unusual name and then they struggle to remember it, and often I just get called Neil instead, or Nigel, which is all right, but obviously that's not my name, so I'd prefer them to call me by my name and go, ah, like the River Nile, got it, and they'll remember. At least that was the case before One Direction came along, and now people just always ask me, are you Niall from One Direction? No, I'm not. So by using associations, we can help make things more memorable, and people can associate and build links between things as well. Like if we were to try and teach about the planets and scale, then that's quite an abstract thing to try and learn about, or an idea, because it's very hard to see, isn't it? But we can link things like, okay, the size of a pea, and actually getting a pea and then the basketball and comparing them in size and scale. That helps give a better understanding and a better image of what the scale of the different planets are. Something kind of related to linking things, or at least making things more memorable, at least, is things which are rude or funny. Normally if something's rude, then normally I find it funny, at least. So, but obviously there is a level of discretion that is needed with this, so please bear that in mind. Think about the clients that you're working with. Obviously with kids, like, that's, yeah, not the best practice, so yeah, just bear that in mind. But I do think there's something behind this where, like, we remember things which are more rude. So I don't think it's any coincidence that there's some bits of information that I can remember which definitely I remember them because they're rude. So here's some examples. So with dandelions, for example, the Old English folk name for them was pisserbed, and the reason for that was because if you use the roots, they're a really strong diuretic. So as you can see, in my childish mind, that's really funny and quite rude, so I'm going to remember that. Another example that I can think of is a plant called tormentil. Now this is a small yellow flower, and it's got loads of medicinal properties, but I can't remember them. The bit that I do remember about it though, which I can't really tell clients when I'm out on the hill, is the fact that it's useful for a chapped anus. That's the bit that I remember. Can't tell anyone about it, not really. So yeah, but there's definitely something to this, the fact that because it's rude, or in my head quite funny because I'm really childish, that it's easier for me to remember. So yeah, there are loads of different ways of trying to help clients remember and recall lots of different bits of information. I've just happened to have picked out these few as a way to get us thinking about these sorts of things. But I'd be really interested to hear about what strategies you as outdoor instructors use to help your clients remember different bits of information. And if you've got any examples of that, let us know in the comments down below. So as always, team, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate anyone that's watching these videos. Like, yeah, it just means a lot to me. If you haven't already, then please leave a comment down below or hit the subscribe button. It helps a lot, it really supports me. But other than that, yeah, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care.